We went to see the film World War Z, and we've been talking a lot about controlled opposition. We've been talking about media persuasion and the efforts of the globalists for depopulation and basically lying to all of us and telling us things that aren't true to cause fear. And they use the media and the films to do that. And we went to see this film, World War Z, which actually endorses the World Health Organization and people that have really not done anything to contribute to humanity's enlightenment, but more to humanity's depopulation and suffering of the population.
World War Z is a major propaganda film that promotes the World Health Organization and vaccinations, most importantly. The themes in the film reflect many of the books and articles that I've written and some of the films that I've done. Sherri and I did the Pharma Horrors Showtime Sting of Penn and Teller film that goes into details about how corrupt the media is. The pharmaceutical cartel actually sponsors the media, and that's a great film where you can learn who's really pulling the strings and paying the bills in Hollywood on behalf of the drug cartel.
The World War Z film was actually about people who come down with a zombie virus. And it really spreads rapidly. If anybody bites you, you get it automatically.
I'm not gonna force you.
What is this?
It's the same worldwide. Is anyone doing better than we are?
We don't know.
And these zombies have a taste for flesh, so they're all going out looking for hosts that they can bite. And the only solution was you can get vaccinated with a highly contagious virus, and that basically will keep the zombies from biting you because you'll be diseased. And that was the concept of the film, which was, I mean, outrageous propaganda. And Brad Pitt was the star of the film, and it was just unbelievable that they actually put this stuff out there and people buy it. They actually believe what they watch. And why are they doing this? Because there's definitely some new vaccination coming along. I know they have the flu shot and they have the new flu shots and they call them different things, and they have new diseases coming along all the time, and they want you to get vaccinated. They want you to believe that the vaccinations are going to help prevent you from getting the disease, or help you, if you have the disease, prevent you from getting sick further. And it's all propaganda. It's all lies. The Murdoch Children's Research Institute in Australia that was responsible for creating the first vaccination trials for flu, and they used little children in those trials. Untested vaccinations were used.
Not adequately tested. They tell you that they're tested,
yeah,
but
they're not really tested.
Bogusly tested.
Yeah, and they then go and administer them to the public, claiming that they adequately tested them and they didn't have horrible things that happened to the children. But you never really see the true results. You never see the true statistics. And they target people in these trials that are in lower demographic areas where they can't afford to get medical treatment, or they don't have insurance. The trials were
Merck Pharmaceutical
was a part
company.
of Merck, and he actually partnered with SmithKline Beecham, which was supposed to be his opponent.
Well, Rupert Murdoch's son, James Murdoch, is a non-executive director of SmithKline Beecham, supposedly a competing company, but where you can see now family members not only are engaged at the highest levels of directing the drug cartel, but also the way we, the people, think, based on the propaganda films coming out of Hollywood and on the hypno-technology called television.
It's interesting that, you know, you have all these competitors in the pharmaceutical arena. I'm talking about these media moguls that are controlling it, and these banksters. And then you look at who their competitors are, and they're the family members of the others. So it's all one big conglomerate. They're all one big family that's controlling these, all saying, oh, try my drug, try my drug. They're the same drug with different names, and that's how they monopolize the entire market and get out the biggest propaganda and media persuasion that they can.
You know, I think one of the biggest disgusting frauds in the film, and I say that with a Harvard degree in public health and behavioral science, media, health education, health promotion, persuasion technologies, research and development. That's what I studied when I was at Harvard, and I've published a number of papers, scientific papers, included a number of books on this subject. So I bring expert analysis when I tell you the most disgusting and despicable aspect of the film World War Z is the flip that Hollywood did and does all the time. Whatever they tell you, it's virtually flipped. It's the opposite. So in this particular case, they're saying that a vaccine coming from biological weapons that they have to steal from the World Health Organization facility that's under siege by these zombies, that they have to get a vaccine that's going to be injected in you, reduce your immunity, so that you then will not be seen by the zombies. You'll have protection against the zombies.
And also, I thought another big part of the propaganda was they never told you where this disease came from, this zombie disease. They never gave you the information.
I think they did. They alluded to this disease came from a lab, a biological weapons laboratory at the World Health Organization. I think that they alluded to that. We'll have to see the film again.
It diverted from that.
Yes,
I thought,
they did.
You know,
it's a quick mention and then they move on.
Yeah,
you know?
it's just kind of like a subliminal, almost a subliminal.
It's a subliminal message,
right? But then they create the disease themselves. Then why would they admit that? You know, no, I know they do, but for them to admit that is just unbelievable. And then they go to the World Health Organization to stop it. I guess what they're trying to say is that it started in their lab and then it spread from their lab. Somebody accidentally dropped something, or I think that was probably what they were alluding to. It was an accident that happened in their lab. It wasn't like specifically created to cause zombies, to create a zombie disease.
Yeah, I think it was related to rabies, and that if you study the book Emerging Viruses, AIDS and Ebola, Nature, Accident, or Intentional, it's my first bestseller, and it's the one that exposes the United States government contracts under which numerous AIDS-like and Ebola-like viruses were bioengineered by the Army's 6th top biological weapons contracting lab called Lytton Bionetics, that supplied not only the cancer industry, but the World Health Organization and Yale virology labs with the viruses, including the prototypes for AIDS, the prototypes for Ebola. Well, it sources, these types of viruses, sources from what was called rhabdovirus simian. It was a rabies virus that they injected into chimpanzees, causing, and monkeys, to cause these subhuman primates to actually become rabid. And in the process also, they combine additional virus segments to cause mutant recombinants that cause all sorts of problems, including cancers. And that's ultimately how, in my opinion, based on a massive scientific evidence, we got the world's most frightening killer, the devastating Ebola virus, as well as, unfortunately, this hideous tragedy called HIV/AIDS. It's not to say that lifestyle risk, that's not to say that drugs don't cause people to die with HIV/AIDS, but the reality is that we also have viruses that are being mutated in laboratories, they're being loosed, people do get viruses, they do get flus, they do die from the immune suppression, and these cofactors in lifestyle risks that are causing the immune suppression, and that is why people die, and particularly the elderly and the children who are at higher risk because of weakened immune systems. These people are at great and grave risk to vaccinations as well as all the pharmaceuticals. But the biggest theme of the whole film, as we are advancing consciously, what does the Illuminati, mainstream media, want to fill your brains with? The concept that there is zombies that are evolving, that are genetically altering the entire human population, and that those are our enemies. Meanwhile, that's precisely what the Illuminati and the mainstream media is creating. Intellectual idiots, dumbing down populations, creating zombies through the drugs and the behavioral persuasion technologies that they're using over and over again as they reinforce and they condition, they socially engineer the entire population into this zombie state whereby we have nothing to do but basically watch television, play video games, join the military, and kill people. So this is the thesis, the theme of this propaganda film, and I think viewing the film from this perspective is an educational experience. Otherwise, you run the risk of just being additionally conditioned by this propaganda. For 528revolution.com, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz.
And I'm Sherri Kane. Thanks for joining us, and hope to see you again on the next segment of Revolution Television Movie Reviews.